So listen, I know I said I wasn't going to make any more videos. I'm not. I'm not. But I need to document this stuff because like big things are happening in my life right now, and it means that things have gone up a notch with my gift, and I need to document it. I've been hearing drums for nearly 4 days. I put up a video on my Instagram recording what I was hearing when I was hearing it, and being told the whisper on the wind saying the running wolf sits by the water. And I know that's got something to do with me because I think I'm the water, as in the running wolf sits by the water sign. That's what I've gotten so far. But then it could also be referenced to with a little help from my friends, because the Wolf King, and we've got the singing brook and the babbling brook and the story, so it could have something to do with that. But I feel like I'm being sent on another vision quest, and I know I'm a girl. Girls don't go on vision quests, but I think it's pretty safe to say that I'm anything far from normal. So, let's just not beat around the bush there. But it's important that I document these things. It's important that I record them because they're big, powerful messages coming through from people's ancestors that aren't my own. So I can't just go, oh, well, that's because of that and blah, blah, blah. The way that they are communicating with me is in ways I'm not used to. So it can take me a few hours, a couple of days to figure it out, because I need to sink further into the roots of it, unlike having to do it with my own roots, because I know my own roots. So I don't need to dig deep to pull out the archive, so to speak. The way that other people's ancestors are communicating with me is very different to how my own ancestors do it. So it's taken me a little bit longer. Like if it was my nana that came through and spoke the way that, she talks through symbolism and that, I'd know sort of relatively quickly now that I've figured stuff out. But I kind of feel like it's like time is of the essence. My dreams and symbols and that can have multiple different meanings. They go off on different threads. They become a part of, different predictions, different insights into the future of the one prediction. It's like a multi-location thing. It's like it spreads out. I will see one thing and it will suit multiple different situations in my life, depending on, it's like unlocking a padlock, a combination padlock. But like where there's multiple potentials. Anyway, so I need to document what I'm seeing. It's too much to write down. And maybe there's someone out there that can help me figure it out, what I'm seeing. When it first started, it could take a good 18 months for existence to hit reality. you know, what I was seeing in existence, in the existence of time, was it would take a while for the reality of time to, you know, catch up. The longer it takes for you to pay off karmic debt, the longer it stretches time out, the longer it takes for existence to catch up with reality. The gravity of the situation literally slows time down. So that's why it's important you get things off your chest and you get things off your mind to lighten your load, because time speeds up then, because you've released burdens, and you know, the lighter your soul, the faster time goes. So it doesn't take as long for what I see to happen, to manifest in reality. So what I'm seeing is, I was just sitting here minding my own business. I'm about to have a discussion with my sons about some idea for some, just, you know, for our games and all of that, for the graphics and stuff. And I was just sitting listening to some music with my headphones on, and then just thinking about the running wolf sits by the water and the drums, and then just seeing a stampede of horses and seeing my horse. Oh, she's waiting for me. I miss her so much. It's a past life thing. But I was seeing a stampede of horses, and then all of a sudden, this old lady just like shoved her face right up into my face. She had no teeth. She had, I wouldn't say white hair, it was more like silver hair, and she had it pulled back sort of like in a bun that sort of sat on the back of her neck, and she had like wrinkles. She can't have been more than 5 foot, and she had like a mustard coloured bandana thing on around her head, and she was just looking at me. Her eyes were so squint that you almost couldn't even see that she had these really dark chocolate brown eyes. And then she pulled back, and then this man was standing next to her, and he was old as well, but you could still sort of see that a bit of black in his silver hair, and he had the same mustard colour bandana. They were pretty much almost like the same height, and he was wearing blue jeans, I remember, and I think he was wearing like a, I don't know, like a, like a flour colour, as in like wheat flour, as in flour for baking bread, and that flour coloured shirt on, and he had the same bandana on, and they had these they look like donkeys. These 2 donkeys, and they were standing almost like how do I explain it? It's like we were in like this vast, would you call it a desert? But it was rocky. It was like a rocky desert. Is there a thing? Is there a rocky desert? I mean, I know we kind of have them in New Zealand, but it's volcanic rock. I mean, it could be volcanic, but this looks like, it looks like it's like a, as far as the eye can see, vast landscape, but we're standing on like rocky mountains. But the bit that's all vast and flat looks, for as far as what my eye can see, like rocky, but not like rocks that you can't, like flat rock. So you can walk across it like a, and take your horses and your cars and all. Like it's not a, it's not going to do damage to your wheels. It's like, oh, do you know? Does that make sense? I can see it so clearly in my head, and just off behind them, like just off in the distance, would take you a good couple of hours to get to it, is like this rocky, like mountain thing, and it's obviously very hot where they are. And I can't figure out where they're from. Like I'm trying to get a. I flicked through the files. I immediately went to like Peru, and then I kind of zoned in on Mexico, and then I'm thinking, is it like somewhere in America? it it looks too hot for it to be anywhere in Canada. That I can tell you, it looks somewhere where there's a lot of nights spent sleeping outside if you're traveling across that desert. Like it's far enough to travel across that you would have to sleep outside unless you had a car. Like back in the day, if they were trading, doing trading and that with things on their donkeys and stuff, like they would have had to have stayed overnight. So it's somewhere where it's big, and these are people that were prepared for the climates and prepared for the traveling and the walking and the hiking and that sort of thing. In those sort of climates and that sort of heat, and it just doesn't feel Canada, but it could be America, and it could be certainly Central and South America as well. But I would start at Peru, but it doesn't feel right. The mustard bandana means that the mustard coloured sort of bandanas that they're wearing around their head means something. And they're standing with two, if I mean, they look like donkeys to me, but they could be sort of, I mean, they're not big like my horse. They're either really small, I mean, they look like donkeys. Um, it's I'm trying to. It's like they're checking me out. It's like when she. It's like she put her face up to my face. Like she put it right up into my face, and she was looking me straight in the eye, and it's like she was checking me out, like she was looking into my soul to see whether I not passed the test, but yeah, kind of like, yeah, like she was checking me out, like seeing if I was not good enough, but like she was making sure that I was above board and kosher, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? And it was when she stood back and he sort of he was closer to me than she was, and he sort of turned to look at me as if to say, well, like, well, that's that done. And when they stood back, that's when I got to see what was behind them, and then seeing those stampede of horses. And I've had dreams about stampedes of horses before, but there were men on horseback, playing the flute or something. That was it. He had a flute in his hand, like a light brown flute. He had like a flute in his hand. It looked like it was made from like some sort of tree branch or something. And that's it. He held up the flute. He was showing me the flute. The flute means something, and I've had dreams about the men on the horseback. They were playing the flute, and I've had dreams before with the Highway of Girls, Tears Girls, where they were saying, play your flute, Debbie, play the flute. I hand wrote it when I didn't have a phone. My phone broke and I had to use my son's phone. So I wrote it all out by hand. It's on my Instagram. And she was saying, play your flute, Debbie, one of the Highway of Tears victims. I'll pull it out and put a link in the description box. But the flute means something. I talk about the dream on my Instagram, where because I got flown on a man in a blue uniform, like a man in a blue Air Force uniform or something. I was on an eagle, and then when I landed or something, he turned into a man in a blue uniform, like a Air Force uniform or something. And when I was falling, he sort of tipped me off his back, and when I was falling, I landed on the flag, I think, that the men on the horses were holding up, or something. But it is documented on my Instagram. But also, yeah, the girls, the Highway of Tears girls, one of the girls left a message for someone called Tommy. And yeah, you'll be able to find it easy because it's handwritten notes, because I didn't have my phone broke, and then the ex bought me this one here, and so I had to write it out by hand, and then my son took a photo, because my sons have access to my account. So yeah, he took a photo and we put it on my Instagram. But yeah, she was saying in the message, one of the girls was saying, play your flute, Debbie. And that man with the bandana held up the flute, and I thought, I need to record this because this is going to mean something. So it's all connected somehow. So I'm, connecting the dots. The podcast. Oh. So yeah, I'll I'm getting there. I've just figured out stuff, even just recording this. So that's good. So now I'll just keep thinking and see what happens. But yeah, the notes are on my Instagram. And while this is uploading, I'll pull them up and put the links in the description box below. Right, till next time. Ka kite anō. Mwah.